We continue now at the top of Daf Beitzah and Meseches Beitzah. This is Beitzah Daf Tube. The Gemara here is continuing to explain Rav Nachman's approach to the opinions of Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel when it comes to Muksa. Gabe Yom Tov, when it comes to Yom Tov, the Sasam Lontanak Reb Yehuda. There we find the Stam Mishnah like Reb Yehuda. The Tanan, as we learned in the Mishnah, Ein Mevakin Eitzim in Hakoros Velom in Hakora Shenishbar B'Yom Tov. You're not allowed to take wood. You're not allowed to chop wood from the beams or from a beam that broke on Yom Tov. Rashi over here explains that Tanan in Mevakin Eitzim B'Yom Tov Lomin Hakoros Hasduros Zu Al Gavzu Bekarka V'Omdos Lebinyan. Let's say you have beams of wood that are designated for building. You can't chop wood from there. V'Lomin Hakora Shenishbar B'Yom Tov. Let's say you have a beam that broke on Yom Tov. V'Ava B'Shomedes Me'achshav Lehesek. Now, even though right now it is meant to be used as firewood, and that's what you want to do right now, Ho'elu Ben Hashmoshos Lav Lachi Kaima since Ben Hashmoshos, meaning at the beginning of Yom Tov, this is not what it was designated for. Kevon this Katsoy Lebein Hashmoshos is Katsoy Lekula Yoma. Once it's considered Muksa at the beginning of Yom Tov, Ben Hashmoshos, it's considered Muksa the entire time. Alma Islon Muksa B'Yom Tov. So what do you see over here? This is a Stam Mishnah that holds of Muksa by Yom Tov. Hilgach Mukir of Nachman Lamasnis and Dairi B'Yom Tov Ubeis Hillel Kareb Yehuda. Therefore, if Nachman says when it comes to Yom Tov, so then we're going to say Beis Hillel follows Reb Yehuda. Uvomedis Legadil Beitzim Umisham Muksa. That's exactly the pshat in our Mishnah. Our Mishnah is talking about on Yom Tov where you have a chicken that's designated to produce eggs. Therefore, it's a problem of muksa to eat the eggs. And again, that's why Beis Hillel will follow the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda. As the Gemara over here says, Mukim Lala Beis Hillel Rabbi Yehuda. For this reason, he says that the Mishnah, that Beis Hillel rather, follows Rabbi Yehuda. And so the Gemara continues, Michdi, let us see. Man Sasmei Lemasnisin. Who's the one that set up the Mishnayos? Rebbe, the person who set up the Mishnayos, who edited, so to speak, the Stam Mishnah, is Rebbe. As Rashi over here says, Man Sasam Lon Lemasnisin, Rebbe, who Sider HaMishnah, Uchesharad Divrei Chacham V'yashru Be'einav Shanan Stam. If Rebbe saw that a certain Chacham said something and it seemed correct, he listed it in the Mishnah Stam without an author. V'lo hizkir shem omro alein. He didn't put the name of the person. Kedei shelo yushnuyin mipi yachid. That way people wouldn't think it's just an individual opinion. V'nir and kilo nishnu mipi hamaruben v'yasu kamosan. When people read a Stam Mishnah, they assume that's the majority opinion, and the point is, Rebbe felt this was the halacha, so he would make that opinion into the Stam Mishnah. And so the Gemara now says, Ma'ishna b'Shabbos to Sasam Lon Kareb Shimon, u'Ma'ishna b'Yom Tov to Sasam Lon Kareb Yehuda. Well, what is the reason? Why is it that on Shabbos, Rebbe says, Rebbe puts a Stam Mishnah like Rebbe Shimon, like the lenient opinion, that there is no Muksa, and on Yom Tov he's Machmir like Rebbe Yehuda, he says there is an issue of Muksa. And so the Gemara answers, Amri, they answer as follows. Shabbos the Chamira, when it comes to Shabbos, which is actually more strict than Yom Tov, v'lo asi lizil zuleba, people are not going to disregard Shabbos, they'll take it seriously. So Sasam Lon Rabbi Shimon, therefore he says the Stam Mishnah like Rabbi Shimon to Mekel. That's the lenient opinion. But Yom Tov, when it comes to Yom Tov Dekil, which is more lenient than Shabbos, v'asi lizil zule, and people will not take it seriously, lizil zule bay, they're not going to take Yom Tov as seriously, so therefore Sasam Lon Rabbi Yehuda to Machmir. Therefore Rebbe put the Stam Mishnah like Rabbi Yehuda that were machmer when it comes to Muksa and Yom Tov. But the Gemara continues, B'mayu kimta b'tarnagola so medis legadol beitzim mishum Muksa. Why are you assuming, or why are you able to say that our Mishnah is talking about a chicken that's meant to produce eggs, and therefore it's an issue of Muksa because it's not meant to be eaten? So if that were the case, adam iflagi v'beitzah, if they're already arguing about whether you can eat the egg, liflagu b'tarnagolas, they might as well argue about the chicken itself. You have a situation of a chicken that's not designated to be eaten. Can you eat it? That would be an issue of Muksa. So why is it that they would focus on the Beitzah on the egg? And so the Gemara says, Lo diacha kochan de Beis Shammai. The reason why we choose a case specifically of a Beitzah shenolda is because we want to show you the strength of Beis Shammai's opinion that they're lenient, divinolod shari, to tell you not only are they lenient by muksa, they're even lenient when it comes to nolad. Nolad, as we said, is a higher form of muksa, something that was born just that day. Even there, Beis Shammai say you can be lenient. But the Gemara says, "V'lefluge betarnagolas lohodiacha kochan de Beis Hillel divamuksa asri." But why not the other way around? Why not have them argue by the chicken itself, and then we'll learn the strength of Beis Hillel that they're machmir even by muksa. The chicken is not nola, the chicken is muksa, and even their Beis Hillel say you can't eat the chicken. And the Gemara says, "V'chitei makoach de teira adif." Maybe you're going to suggest that it's better to teach us the more lenient, the mutter opinion. The strength of being lenient is always preferred. Rashi over here says, it's better for the Mishnah to teach us the strength of the person who's lenient or the person who's matir, because that shita is relying on a shmua. Not afraid to be mekel. But those who forbid, that's not such a a raya, because anyone can be machmir. V'afilu b'davar hamutter, you can be machmir even on something that's mutter. So maybe we'll say koach dehatera adif, but still v'niflug b'tarvayu. Why not argue in both cases? Just list them both. Tarnagola is homedes legadol beitzim. Just say simply, if you have a chicken that is being raised to produce eggs, hiu beitzah. So when it comes to both the chicken and its egg, Beis Shammai omrim tochal. Beis Shammai say you can eat it, because again, Beis Shammai don't hold of muksa or nolad. Beis Hillel omrim lo tochal, and Beis Hillel say you can't eat it. And so the Gemara says, you're right. Ella rather, Amar Rabba, rather, Rabba says as follows. Liolam b'tarnagoles homedes lachila. Really, the case over here is the tarnagoles is designated for eating. So again, then it would seem, of course you can eat it. However, the case is, uviyomtiv shechol lios achar hashabbos askinan. We're talking about a case over here where yomtiv falls out right after Shabbos. Umishum hachana. And the issue over here is hachana. The issue is preparation. Rashi over here says, umishum hachana da'asri la Beis Hillel. As we're about to explain, Beis Hillel says it's a problem not of muksa, but it's a problem of hachana. Again, the issue over here is, if it's a tarnagolas homedes lachila, of course it should be mutter. Why would Beis Hillel say it's problematic? And the answer over here is it's hachana. Because Sava Rabbin, the Gemara explains that Rabba holds kol Beitzah de Mesialda ha'idna. Anytime you have an egg that was born today, may esmol gomrala. That egg was finished being created yesterday, as Rashi over here says. The kol Beitzah de Mesialda ha'idna may esmol gomrala. V'avagav de bidei shamayim hu. And even though it was created yesterday, not by people, it was created bidei shamayim. It was created by heaven. Asr, it is still asr. It's considered hachana. It's as if you prepared from Shabbos to Yom Tiv. Deba'inan kol suudas Shabbos of suudas Yom Tiv sheyu mezumanos umuchanos miba'od yom shel chol. Because the halacha is, when it comes to the meals of Shabbos and the meals of Yom Tiv, they need to be prepared from beforehand while it is a weekday. They should not be prepared, let's say, from Shabbos to Yom Tiv. So that's the idea over here. Me'asmol gamra love a Rabba l'taime, and Rabba follows his reasoning. The Gemara explains the Amar Rabba, because Rabba says, Ma'i dichsiv, what does the pasuk mean when it says, V'hoya bayom hashishi v'hechinu es asher yaviu? It says that on the sixth day, you're going to prepare, meaning you're going to prepare for Shabbos. The idea is, chol mechen l'Shabbos v'chol mechen l'Yom Tiv. On weekdays, you can prepare for Shabbos. On weekdays, you can prepare for Yom Tiv. V'ein Yom Tiv mechen l'Shabbos, v'ein Shabbos mechina l'Yom Tiv. You're not allowed to prepare on Yom Tiv for Shabbos. You can't prepare on Shabbos for Yom Tiv. As Rashi over here says, v'echinu v'hizminu, it means you prepare, kagon mikan ani ochel l'machar. It means really designate. I'm designating that I'm eating from this tomorrow. We're not talking about actively preparing. V'lomar sheyofu v'yavashlu mi ba'od yom, to tell you they have to bake and cook from before Shabbos. That's obvious. It's explicit. As asher tofu afu, it says you bake before Shabbos. El hazmona bepekam, we're talking about designating with your mouth. You're designating and saying, this is what I'm eating. Uchsib bayom hashishi, it says on Friday, on the sixth day. Ustam shishi cholu, when it says shishi, generally we assume that's a weekday. V'achshav arachmanu l'suda Shabbos, sheyazminena mi ba'od yom uv'chol. The idea over here is, Su'uda Shabbos should be prepared before Shabbos, designated before Shabbos, and it should be a weekday. Ve'en Yom Tov mechen l'Shabbos, Yom Tov cannot prepare for Shabbos. Yom Tov nami kari Shabbos. The other way also, Yom Tov itself is called a Shabbos. Don't prepare from Shabbos to Yom Tov. Uboy sudasa hazmana v'hazmanasa b'chol. Same thing. Yom Tov also requires a designation, and it should be designated during the week. Avol suudas chol lo chashiva v'lo shaycha b'hazmana. The meal that you have on a weekday is not chashiv. It doesn't require designation. Hilkach be'echad b'Shabbos b'alman leslan l'meisar Beitzah shenol debei mishum de'itchon b'dei shamayim. So therefore, for example, let's say you have a situation of an egg that was born on Sunday. Maybe you should say, oh, I'm doing hachana from Shabbos to Sunday. It's a problem. It's not a problem. The fact that it was created or formed b'dei shamayim on Shabbos is not a problem. The su'udas chol lo atzrecha rachmana zimun mi ba'od yom, because the meals that we have on weekdays don't need to be designated beforehand. The lo shayich b'muksa, there is no din of muksa when it comes to weekdays, so that's why that's not a problem. But the Gemara continues, Amar le Abaye, so Abaye said to him, to Rabbi, Ela me'ata, but according to your reasoning, that the issue over here is hachana, so Yontiv b'alma tishtri, let's say a regular Yontiv, where it's not right after Shabbos, it should be perfectly permissible to eat from the egg in such a situation. Again, you have a situation of a chicken that's designated to be eaten and it has an egg, it should be permitted to eat. So the Gemara answers, no, Gezeira misham Yontiv achar Shabbos, you're right, but we make a decree, because sometimes Yontiv falls out after Shabbos, therefore we say all Yomim Tovim is going to be a problem. But the Gemara says further, Shabbos di Alma Tishtri, a regular Shabbos, it should be permitted. Again, let's say Shabbos doesn't fall out right after Yontif. And again, the Gemara says, Gezeira, no, it's a decree, Mishum Shabbos Achar Yontif, because sometimes Shabbos does fall out after Yontif, and therefore on all Shabboses, Beitzah Shenolda is going to be a problem. But the Gemara says, Umi Gazrinan, do we really make such Gezeiras? Would we really say, for example, again, Gezeira because of Yontif Achar HaShabbos, or Gezeira because of Shabbos Achar Yontif? Vatanya, but we learned in a Braisa, Hashochet is Hatar Nagolis, let's say somebody shechts a chicken, Umatza ba Beitzim Gemuros, and he finds inside the chicken, he finds eggs that are fully formed. Mutaros la'achlan b'yomtiv. You're allowed to eat those eggs on yontiv. And so the Gemara says, V'yamisa, but if it is true that we make such gezeras, ligzer misham hanach the misyalden biyomeyan. We should make a gezerah, we should make a decree, because don't eat those eggs, because what if you had eggs that were born on that day? That would be a problem. And so the Gemara answers, Amar le, he said back to him, Beitzim gemuros b'mei iman milsa de lo shchicha. To find fully formed eggs in the womb of their mother is something that is uncommon. De lo shchichi, it's an uncommon thing. Umilsa de lo shchicha lo gazer barabanan. Something that's uncommon, the Rabbanan did not make a gezerah. Rav Yosef Amar, Rav Yosef says a different answer. Rashi over here says, Rav Yosef Amar, Talmud de Beitzah, the reason of the case of Beitzah, the first Mishnah, B'tarnagolas homedes la'achila. Again, we're talking about a tarnagolas homedes la'achila. It's a chicken that is designated to be eaten. Uchidu kimna, like we just said. Ubeis Hillel da'asri, but the reason why Beis Hillel say it's a problem, again, before we gave another answer, we said the reason why it was a problem was achona. Now Rav Yosef saying a different problem. Mishum peiros hanoshin min ha'ilan b'Shabbos. The reason is because it is too similar to a case of fruits that fall off a tree on Shabbos. Because right now we think it's a decree because of Peros Hanoshin. You shouldn't eat it. In other words, people get confused. If I can have a Beitzah Shenolda, so then maybe I can also have fruits that fall off a tree. That's what Rav Yosef says here. The reason why Beis Hillel say it's a problem and Beitzah Shenolda b'yomtiv is a gezeira because of the fact that it's too similar to fruits that fall off a tree. And so the Gemara says back, Amar le Abaya, Abaya says back to Rav Yosef, Peiros Hanoshin time amai. What is the reason why Peiros that fall off a tree are a problem? And we'll continue with this discussion in the next video on Daf Gimel Amud Aleph.